It was something like 15 years ago when somehow I ended up on an airplane, and somehow that airplane dropped me off in Los Angeles, California. I was met by my cousin, and he whisked me around that city good and fast, and eventually we ended up in the home of someone I didn't know. I knew why we were going. I was there to sing. And I walked in the door. They led me to a staircase. And on my way down into the basement of a home where I was a stranger, I noticed record after record on the wall. And I began to realize, I'm someplace. I'm about to talk to somebody. Who is it? And I was met by Wayne and Wanda Vaughn. And my life changed in that evening. I remember very well around the piano in that very basement I was walking into, having a conversation with Wayne about music, about his experience with it and mine. We bonded over a conversation about the composer Mendelssohn. I was just telling him about that experience that I had in their home, and I'm going to give them a recording of me singing from Elijah. We spoke about that work that night, and inspired to take on the role from that evening, I did. Not too long after that. And I've been waiting for a moment when I could introduce those who know me a little bit to the Vaughn family. On the program tonight, we welcome the emotions of all people. Hello, Hutchinson Vaughn family. Thank you. Oh, yes. Thank you so much for joining us on VMFA After 5 Fridays presented by Chase. Tonight, we're going to talk about y'all, if you'll have me.
Yes.
Now, before we get into a conversation, and it's just going to be us loving on each other, my audience is used to me doing that by now, would you take a moment? There might be 1 or 2 people who are about 5 years old, maybe, who don't know the emotions. Tell us something about yourselves in your own words.
Well, the Emotions is a group of sisters. We started out in Chicago, Illinois, as the Hutchinson Sunbeams. We sang gospel there. Our father, Joseph Hutchinson, taught us to sing at the age of 3, 4, and 5. And he was in a group called the Wings of Heaven, which was a gospel group in Chicago. And we sang gospel up until we were teenagers. We had a gospel program that came on Jubilee Showcase. Would come on Sundays mornings. Northlake Brothers would open, and then I'm going to say Emotions. Then the Hutchinson Sunbeams would come on, and we would see. Our theme song was "I'm Running for Jesus, Just Like an Automobile." Something he had written. And matter of fact, you can find it on YouTube. But we sang in my grandfather's church there for years. And then we sang on the radio show, what was it called? The Jubilee Showcase. And then we did the TV show that ultimately came after that. And actually, that's how we started singing in the union there on TV, because you couldn't even sing gospel without signing up something with the union. And we got to meet the staple singers, Mavis Staples, because she was on the gospel show sometimes, and her brother, Purvis Staples, became our manager. And that's when we were about 15 or 16, and we started doing shows at the theater on 49th Street, the big theater where Alvin Cash, where we met the 5 Stair Steps, the Jackson 5. But we came on there and we sung and won a record contract. That was the prize. Wow. And we won to sing, was it Stax Records? That's right. And Isaac Hayes, David, we know from there. And remember, he did produce the Staple Singers. Yes. So that's how we got that contact. And Sheila at that time had written "So I Can Love You," which was our first 1969 single. And it mostly in the Midwest and so forth. So we were there at Stax Records for till 74, from 69 to 74. And then Maurice White, well, we met him in Chicago, as a matter of fact. Huh?
And Maurice White's from?
Maurice White is from Memphis, right?
Oh.
Well, originally,
the group.
but Earth, Wind and Fire, Maurice White. That's right. He was a drummer. That's right. He was a drummer. But that time we were teenagers by that time.
Right,
Me, Jeanette, and Sheila. Because it was always the sisters.
Yeah.
And so, and my mom was like, Joe, you got them girls singing the devil's music. Now they come up singing God's music, singing Jesus. And my grandmother, besides my mom, my grandmother was livid. And she was like, and because that was the church that we sang in when we learned how to sing. We were singing there every Sunday before we started the TV show. But we said, Mama, we're singing love songs, and these are songs about love. They're not about, and dancing. And that's something, that's not the devil's music.
It was asking a question.
It was really hard.
Show me how.
So I can tell you
a little bit more.
So anyway, we stayed there until 74. And then Reese, he said, wow, you guys should go. He had a friend there, Ron Ellison, who was also a drummer. Yeah, he was a drummer, and they played in that jazz band, that jazz interpreters.
Well, he played with
out of Chicago.
He played with Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions.
Right, and the Impressions. That's right.
Yeah,
and the Impressions. And he said, "Have you ever thought about singing? Dance music?" And we said, "Yes." So anyway, the first contract, like I said, they put it together, and we were there. Ron helped us put it together at the theater, and went to Stax. Isaac Hayes, and So I Can Love You, Show Me How it came out. And the company dissolved, I should say, in 73, I guess, 74. And that's when Maurice said, well, hey, I'm over here at
Columbia,
CBS. I was going to say Sony, but it was CBS at that time. And he said, you guys should come up. Do you have any songs? Would you guys like to? And we said, well, we have a few songs that we've written, So he said, meet me over Charles Stepney's house. Oh, boy. Charles Stepney, we went over there, and, he's the writer of You Can't Hide Love, Minnie Riperton. He was producing her. Matter of fact,
Skid Row Can't Hide Love. But Charles did Rotary Connection, all these different, all these different things.
But we went there, and so he had us play. He said, well, Maurice is doing Denise Williams, and what was the jazz player there in Chicago?
Ramsey Lewis.
And he said, they need a girl group.
Yeah, well,
and
he's turning old, but
that was 76.
Yes. So if a 5-year-old audience member was trying to figure out
if a 5-year-old
who the Emotions are, the biggest song that they're really known for, that maybe their grandma plays for a 5-year-old would be
Won a Grammy, sure did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. You've got this. You've got this. You've got this. You've got this. You've got the best of my life. Gotta take much to make me happy and make me smile with me. No, never will I feel discouraged. God, I love no mystery. Demonstrating love and affection. Can you be so openly? I like the way you make me feel about you, baby. Want the whole wide world to see. Oh, you've got the best of my love. Oh, you've got the best of my love.
That's why it's a hit. That's why. Okay, now wait a minute, Wanda. Let's back up a little bit. Because behind you are not original members of the Emotions. Who are these young ladies behind you?
Well, these young ladies are my daughters, me and Wayne's daughters. This is Wendi.
Hi,
Wyann. And that's something, they're stair steps, just like my sisters and I, we were stair steps.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes. You're older than her.
Yes. She's the big sister. She never lets me forget anything.
Okay.
Yes.
But that just shows you how God was always in the mix with this family, with the Hutchinsons and with the Vaughns.
Yep.
And he must have known because Wendi has Sheila's voice and Wyann has my voice. So I was the lead. So when Jeanette and Sheila decided to sit down for a while, I said, well, could you guys still do? I said, well, yeah, they could sing the song. And sure enough, Wendi and Wyann, you can't tell the difference.
Sure enough. Now, and y'all have a sound.
A lot of time with them singing.
Yes.
Sorry, Robert, what did you say?
Just that the sound is something spectacular. I mean, a blend like that comes because you've got the same blood in your veins, I think.
Yes, you're right, though. That's absolutely.
That's how it happened in my family.
Yes. And you know, Mahalia Jackson said that about us. When we were in Chicago, we would go to her church. She loved our show that came on Sundays, and she had us come to her church. And to hear her sing when we were that young, and I was like, what is that happening to my skin? I mean, when Mahalia Jackson would sing, your skin just started crawling. And she wasn't doing a lot of runs like American Idol and all those people. She was just singing from the soul. Right. And I mean, that's the anointing I come to find out.
And that's exactly, in my opinion, what happens when the blend of harmonies taught by my grandfather, her dad, and fortified through the years by my mom's teaching us, Auntie Pam in heaven, beautiful woman, teaching us, Auntie Sheila really taking time to sit and coach us with her voice and how they've done. And then you take that Hutchinson legacy and mix it with this guy and the Vaughn harmonics.
Yeah, he didn't know the gospel.
He knew my dad.
You gotta get over here, Dad.
Yeah,
I'm in here. I'm listening.
No, he's fine.
Hey, I got it.
But no, it's the funk and the jazz.
The funk and the jazz. When all of those things came together, I think what my mom was saying when she was talking about the Mahalia Jackson story and how your skin, it reacts whether you understand it or not.
I had no idea.
I feel what people have described the harmonies of the Emotions to be. And when my sister and I came into the group, I think we end up not only carrying on that legacy, but also adding in some loving. I'm talking about real loving and solidarity of family that money can't buy. This money can't buy. And that's
I got $15 on it.
Oh! Now you all know, my family. We get together and we sing and we have a good time just like y'all do. And that story I told up top, we sat in that basement and I remember singing with you and feeling like I'd been there my whole life, getting notes from y'all, finding my harmony in that tight harmony that your family already put together. That there's something magical to be learned just by being in the room with you.
wow.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Now, we've gotten a taste of Best of My Love. Everybody knows it. It's in movies, it's on commercial, it's in television shows. If you know one song, you know that one. Tell me about some more of the great memories of music that you have with your sisters in the Emotions. I can think of many other songs that are beloved. I Don't Want to Lose Your Love.
Oh, tell how you wrote I Don't Want to Lose.
Well, yes, I Don't Want to Lose Your Love. Was that on the same?
No,
that was on the
first
album.
That was the first record.
Stop.
And that was the first record with Maurice.
Yes, that's right. Because when I went to Charles Stepney, that was the first song I played for him was I Don't Want to Lose Your Love. And it was like a 6-minute song. It was and he was saying, this, Maurice was saying, the song can't be that long. I think I had 7 verses. It was talking about this guy who I wanted to marry me, but he wouldn't. So it was in the song, but I didn't want to lose him. Right. So But he said, but Wanda, and I would start it off, it was like a what did you call it? Dinner's ready.
Yeah.
Like a torch song.
Torch song.
Things coming over. Me said, why don't you just start it off faster than that, a little faster? I said, but it gotta grow. Wanda, just try it. And I did. Yeah, I did. Dinner's ready, and the wine is chill. The baby's coming over, but I let know how I feel, because I don't wanna lose your love. Because I feel, baby, it's getting harder to conceive. I've been in the life you've been living for. Do you live on the life I give you? Come home, you can't see. Things ain't the way they used to be, baby. And I can't believe that you wanna let you. You got to say just what's the reason. Don't take my love, look back over, and then turn around and give it. I don't wanna lose your love. I don't wanna lose your love. Don't wanna lose your love. I don't wanna lose your love. I'm gonna say that you will. I'll be there to fulfill. I don't wanna lose your love. I don't wanna lose your love. I don't wanna lose your love. Don't wanna lose your love. Don't wanna lose your love. I don't wanna lose your love. Hey, woo, 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 you just slow down. Oh, baby, what you do? What you do? What you do? What you do? I don't wanna lose your love. Whoa. I don't wanna lose your love. I don't wanna lose your love. I don't wanna lose your love. I will chill.
Yes, indeed. I don't want to lose your love. I love it. Family. Now, take us back for just a moment. Take us back before my years, before your daughter's years, to these times when you're recording these songs. First of all, what was the climate of the industry like? What was it like for a group of black girls to get into this industry?
Well, when we were at Stax, Al Bell, who was the president of Stax Records, he was saying, well, you know, girl groups, they don't want to put a lot of money into us, so they only put out singles, because you know how girls 16, 17, 18 might get pregnant. And they don't want to spend money on the road on that, so we're going to do that. Well, they put it, so they had daddy tell us. So they put out, I said, why can't we do an album like Johnny Taylor and them? Why can't we do an album like Isaac and them? No, we want you to put out singles first. And so that's what we did. But that's how the time was in 72, 70, yeah, 3.
Yeah.
And that was the case. And so
did you ever feel anything different or interesting because of you all being black and growing up, you know, South Side? Was there ever anything about that?
Well, what the blessing was is that we grew up in Chicago and we sang with the staple singers and with the other singer who was there, the guy who put out Walk in the Park, all the Chicago greats, they knew us. Yes.
Jerry Butler.
Jerry Butler.
Yeah. Okay.
Jerry Butler. See, we had all of those. We had been singing with them in Chicago, so we had some kind of, recognition.
Right, you already knew people.
Yes, through that, and they knew our songs. Just our flavor. And then being with Mavis, and we were always on the I can't say shows then, it was in church.
Wasn't it like showcases, Mom?
And what's the Barrett Strong sisters? It was all the gospel.
Oh, I see.
So when we came out of that into the Stax thing, Isaac made sure that was the wonderful thing. He kept that harmony, that thing, and then it was my father was there still giving us the parts.
Yeah.
Like, what was the song that the guys did? Our first song.
That's all I can know.
No, with Stax. And when we went to, who was it that knew those songs back then?
Mm-hmm.
But it was called, oh gosh. We were on the, what's that? Oh, I know he's a rapper. But they sang our songs.
Okay.
And they put them to the one that, our first ones that we did. At
Like Blind Alley.
Blind Alley.
Big Daddy Kane.
Big Daddy Kane.
Well, everybody sampled that.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
one
saying.
of the most sampled songs.
That's when we
in
found out how many rappers were into us because they sampled our music into their rap songs.
And and that was like their debuts, their first singles.
Right.
And David Porter.
Yeah.
Blind Alley.
I want to say like LL Cool J did that too with that.
And he did, and another two. And another two.
That was perfect.
Now I'm trying to remember.
Well, we're getting. We're keeping the lighting. You know, I'm working.
We got
keyboards and lighting.
But at that time, we were 16, 17, 18. And actually, Dad had to sign for Sheila because she was under the age limit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we sang the Christmas, Black Christmas.
Right.
And What Do the Lonely Do at Christmas, which Isaac Hayes wrote for us. And we were singing those songs. And when he did Show Me How, Dad was like, you remember Sheila started out, I'm just a young girl.
Yeah.
Trying to learn the ways of love.
Just to please you.
You're the only someone I love. And then when he first heard it, he was like, now I'm too young to be singing about this guy. Now, they did go through that with us. And I was like, I didn't know why, but they did come across that.
Okay.
You know why?
Look, it sounds like to me, even as I, listen to Mom, and whenever they tell the stories, I go, wow, they had like this protection, like this insulation, and it came with like their crew. Right, and with Isaac and the mentorship.
And Carla Thomas came in there while we were doing it, and her brother Marvell, who played the organ on those songs with them. And Rufus came in there. Well, I'm a daddy too, and he sing those songs because Rufus was so.
Well, that's a wonderful thing that you had people around you that were scooping you up, keeping you safe, making sure things were together.
Yes, that's true.
That doesn't happen a lot in this industry.
No. And then the guy who's like, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. He would come in there, and then we end up singing one of his songs. So he said, but your voices sound like they're older than what you are. And they just have that.
Right.
Wanda, when I was a kid, that's something that my mom used to say. When I would sing, she would I'd go somewhere, I don't know where we go, but I have to sing there, and she would say, now when you get here, I don't want that little boy voice. Just because you're a child doesn't mean you have to sing like a child. And I learned quick, find the mechanism, but you have a bigger voice. Thank you, Mama, for that.
Right, yeah, you're right, baby.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be Mavis. I wanted to be Mavis, Gladys, and Aretha. Those were my, when we did talent shows, I would always do Heard It Through the Grapevine. Baby, like Gladys. And then Aretha, we would do the, what's the man? Do right, do what I want. Because when Jennifer Hudson got chosen for the sing, I said, I should be singing.
Yeah.
Sing exactly like Aretha, and her son knows it. Because I said, he said, Wanda, you should be my mom. I said, but I know they have to have the other age. I said, well, I'm not that age. So
of course.
You have to, start somewhere. And go. But I always want to do, and Wayne will do it, a tribute to Aretha.
That'd be so
because I know all of her songs, and I can mimic her to the T. Ask Shaka.
Yeah, so that right there, I love what you said, because when Mom first was singing with the Mavis, like, what's a Mavis song that you would sing, Mom?
I'll take you home. Help me Jesus. Help me Jesus. Help me Jesus.
Down there, that thing.
Remember, begging you, Jesus, help me run this race. And I would always sing the squall in the low thing. So when we met Reese had this song. He said, Wanda, I want you to take this home and say, it was Best of My Luck. And so when I came back in, I said, doesn't take much to make.
She was singing the demo.
He said, Wanda, why are you singing it down there? I said, that's where you were singing it. I sing low. He said, no, you got to sing an octave higher. I said, Reese, I don't sing. That's Sheila that sings an octave higher. I sing Mavis.
I sing Mavis.
And then he went, just try it. Just belt it out. Just try it. I said, oh, Reese, you just try it. And so I did. And believe it or not, we did that take so many times. But the very first one I did, and I was trying to show him that I couldn't do it, I just sang so loud, doesn't take much, mate. And I just went up there where he said, and it came out okay. It had more squall in it and all that, but it worked. And I was like, how did Reese know that?
You know, it takes another pair of ears sometimes to get us where we're supposed to go. You know, as much as we think we know about ourselves, somebody might know something, see something, or hear something we didn't hear. And it sounds like that's the experience beyond the experiences you had with mentors teaching you and keeping you corralled together, you have had quite a good track record of bringing up those who've come behind you and being on their side too. Tell me some of that.
Oh, yes, bringing them up, bringing up babies.
A lot of groups formulated.
Well, what just so happened, because remember when BNGB did I the One With Your Love? She called me and I thought it was a joke. Somebody was playing on me, and Hammer was producing her, right? MC Hammer. He said, what? They're putting out I Don't Want Your Love, and they don't know the lyrics you do on the breaks. You know, they kept hearing them, right? And they would sing the wrong lyric. And so I said, just say that. I don't believe that. So who is this for real? Y'all paying a joke on, but it was really, you know, they were really doing my song in the studio. And what's his name again? Charles had given him my number. Yeah. So I was like, no, they didn't have my number. But anyway, it was amazing how that. And so, then what'd you ask?
A few other groups too, but not only them. Like I'm gonna say Pam and Gina, which is egregious.
Right. Oh yes.
But Tashina,
Tisha
Campbell. Thank you, Wendy.
Oh.
Jade, the '90s group Jade.
Yeah.
Yes.
On their album, they covered Blessed and Don't Ask If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. They covered too. In Vogue just recently on Instagram.
In Vogue, when they first came out, I was at Carlos and Charlie's, and their manager was there.
Yes.
And the manager was there, and he said, "Hey man, I got a new girl group, and I'm trying to pattern them after Emotion." I said, "Oh really? Oh, okay. I'm gonna go over to the bar now and let me know how it go out." But I have so many people that have told me over the years, I want somebody to sound like the Emotion.
Yeah. Can't do it.
One of those groups, when we first seen them, when we met them on the road, they was with us with the Brothers Johnson tour.
Right.
And we were just at rehearsal. We both used the same rehearsal room. George Faison was doing both of our choreography grooves of that time. And so it was Emotions time to go rehearse. And we just kicking back over at A&M Studios on the big sound stage. And we're just listening. And we were tripping on, regular vocalists like, okay, I'm gonna be the soprano, I'm the alto, I'm the this, They were like crisscrossing parts and stuff. And that's what makes the Emotion.
We weren't always three-part harmony. They said, well, how do you? Then we go, they have a interval, and then we go to ensemble, because the ranges that we do, like in Blessed, like in Best of My Love, we start out in the first, second, third, and fifth, the first harmony.
First position. Yeah, your first chord.
But we end up in the third.
Yeah. Oh, inversions. I've seen it. Yeah.
Come on, well, they invert, but when they vert, they really invert. They take the end off.
Okay, well now I need to hear a little. Can you give me a little touch of Blessed?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I need to hear some of this harmony.
Jerry Peters. to take the time to concentrate your mind and listen. Ooh, yeah. Listen to the answer of the word. Marvel at the beauty that nature holds. Spread your wings to freedom. Use it from your mind. Down you see and believe to your victory. God will give you victory. It's on you. Let's my soul feels good about the ties that bind me and you. And all they got together. Soul feels good about the ties that bind me and you. And all they got together. There be the Chinese
Yes, praise him. That's what somebody once said. Praise him. Boy, is that beautiful. I'm interested in what you think or what you've noticed through the years, how the industry has changed, how the culture has changed. What sorts of differences do you see from then versus now?
Melodies got lost when the rap music, and there were 80 bars of the same melody in a song. If it had 160 bars, 80 of them were exactly the same. And the verse always sounded like the hook. But when OJs, the Whispers, Temptations, they would have the verse, then they would have the beat section, the chorus, then they would have, what's that one that we would call the ensemble, to come back to the hook. There would always be an 8-bar release.
Well, yeah, we would call it a bridge.
A bridge,
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay.
But we had all those elements in the parts of a song. But when the young folks came along, not that it was funky now, but even Clinton kept that melody structure with all of his stuff. That phone cut, he kept that verse was the verse, bridge was the bridge, But the rappers, they had 80 bars of the same thing, But it could be good because a lot of people start not singing well after that. Because I would hear them sing and they would all just scream, or they would make too many runs and overdo it.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't know how to sell it through the heart instead of selling through how many melismas.
Melisma, look how terms coming in. B section, melisma, yes, that's music. These are musicians in front of me. Yes, ma'am, I love that.
What they were really tripping on was when the artists had the auto-tune on the mic, and they got real happy and forgot that they were on auto-tune, and then they went around it and then started singing in the key of Cat. I was like, I said, Rod Sterling, where you at?
You know what? That's why we're here, family. We're here to grab this music by its horns and bring it back to where it's supposed to be. That's our mission.
Should I say?
I was almost like downing rap music as a thing, and then my daughter Wyann had to bring me into I said, Mama, don't down it all the way. It's not really what you're saying. I know it seems like that to you because you know so much, and then so much. It just seems like it takes so little now for you to get number one. Yeah, by singing the same melody, 160 bars. But the same thing that happened with Aretha happened, but they didn't make as much money They didn't make as much, whatever. And then the ones that are out here now sing the same thing 10,000 times and make more money. That's that doesn't seem right. That's not a progressive thing. It's a give up. It's like you surrender to something lesser than, to me. But I had to go, not the, because the lyric now, what was the guy who I really liked? The lyric, Tupac. Oh, Tupac. Just lyric-wise, not what he was talking about, good, bad, but the lyrical presentation of his rhyme, and even the guy, Eazy-E.
Eazy-E, short. Yeah, the short.
Too short.
Oh, my bad.
Because we did something, when he called me on stage in Chicago, I mean, this was just outrageous. It was at one of those industry affairs, and I never went on stage with a rapper or anything, and I sung my gospel thing to what he was rapping about, something that happened in the song that he was doing. I knew that song.
Blow the whistle?
We actually, people went crazy. I was like, why do people do this?
Yeah.
Since it works, because I knew melody, I knew how to sing with the chords.
Right.
And then I was answering. It was like we never did it together before.
Right.
But that shows you the heart of music is the heart. What is the commercial end of it? Right. That's a whole nother.
That's a different conversation. Exactly.
That's a whole nother.
Wyann, come up closer to the camera. I'd love to hear from your mind, because folks at home, we've been talking to a Grammy Award winner this whole time, but all these people that you see on this screen in front of you have some Grammy experience that I can only dream of. Y'all gonna produce my album, get me my Grammy too? Here's my album. But Wyann, hip us to some of the history of hip hop. How does it jive with the rest of the story? How do you see the old world blending into this new one?
I love it. I want more of it. This is the entire topic of my thesis that I did when I graduated from my master's program back in 2012. It was on rap music's role in Black adolescent identity formation.
Come on.
Right? And it got deep. But the longest chapter of the thesis is the historical context. So everything that you're asking is 100% there. So there's two ways that you can look at the origin of rap music / hip hop. One being on the 11th of August, just had a birthday, hip hop did. On the 11th of August in 1973, oh goodness, the address of the place escapes me now, but it was on Sedgwick Avenue in South Bronx. Kool Herc's Back to School jam that he did. I knew the address a week ago, I promise you, but there's too many numbers in my head. So that's one way to look at it from the Black American standpoint. But if you are a deeper scholar of rap music and hip hop, because those aren't the same things, we'll talk about that in a second, but the rap music in general comes from like a West African, I'm only saying West African because that's how far I study. This could be wider. I'm not sure, but from what I studied, a West African, did you say the word griot? Griot.
Storytelling.
Like a griot.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't it have like a T in it? Or something like that. Something like, it's a fun spelling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting here like it's that, but back in the smack of the day, West African times, pre-slavery, all these different things, the way to study one's history, Wendy's favorite subject, because you loved art history so much, she hated art history. but that was where they were looking at history like the Mesopotamia, like from actual art, stick figures on a wall, caveman stuff. Well, in West Africa, we would orate and recall our history by way of rhyming with rhyme schemes, telling a story so that we would remember it. We'd put a melody to it. Now, mind you, it's a story. So that sounds like this is a time all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, right? So there goes a little melody with it. But it's a story, not melismas, not singing, not a melody, but it is somewhat of a story.
Yes.
So one of my favorite, I wish I remember this instructor's name, at Glendale College actually, there was an extra credit lecture. I don't know how I did that. But anyway, there was an extra credit lecture that I went to. It was called From Ring Dance to Rock.
Oh, yes.
From ring dance, because that's what they would do. It was called ring dance. The griot would get in the middle. They would do the drums.
Yes.
Drum circle.
The drum circles would make it different. That's what made it different from, let's say, classical European music or even bomba music of Afro-Cuban history. What made the West African thing was their drum. And when the griot would come out and start talking about the tribe's history, different from any other tribe's history, so that you would remember, they would do it melodically a little bit, actually. Melodically, with the rhythm. That's really what I mean. There was a rhythm. Rhythmic.
They would keep the tattoos going as they would tell the story.
Right. And that's how you would remember.
That's how you locked in.
That right there. So in the same way, this is the trained therapist side coming out, not practicing trained therapist. The human brain contains and retains information in 7 to 9 bits. Think of your address. Think of your telephone number. Think of your social security number. That's how we do it. So my sister and I, she's the English, I'm the math person. When you start to say, well, how did we get a whole nation of people and elsewhere to remember 26 individual pieces of information called the alphabet without stumbling? We took the melody of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is what we got. And that melody was a ribbon that tied all the individual different pieces together. So now it's just one piece of information. In my opinion, when you look at hip hop and rap music as a journey, it started from that West African origin where people were telling their stories rhythmically. And then, of course, it boomed in 1973. But it was also, a kind of a sad way when they started taking the music programs out of schools. Because Dad, you learned piano in school, no?
Right.
Where did you learn piano?
I learned piano. I learned flute in school, but
that's what it was. I knew it was something.
But the same thing, and it always revert back, like you say, the West African.
Yeah.
Then when they came back from slaves, a lot of the slaves came from West Africa. Right. So it became field Negro, the field holler and the call and response.
That's what it is.
So spiritual. When call and response came in, it's all related to the beginning.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It keeps evolving, and it's just like when you took the music out of the school, what did the kids start doing?
Right.
Taking their parents' vinyl records and scratching them up, trying to make a rhythm and a thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, Wyann. That is true. I'm so happy you said that because it makes me think of like the mumble rap.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What happens when you take something away? How do how do the kids still express themselves? So back then, they were taking the records and scratching them and figuring things out. And Wyann and I talk about this all the time because now we have this trend of mumble rap. And it's not as new, maybe more like 4 or 5 years ago, but you still hear a lot of these weird things that kids are doing these days because our society has taken so many of these arts out of the thing. STEM art, science, technology, engineering, math is what everyone is focused on, and they take out the art. That's 100%. Why STEAM is so important because the art is what they say shows you the integration and the relation between all of these different things. And that's the English side of it.
That's the English. She's right. No, she's really smart, by the way. I don't know. And these two, they made us. But no, but that's an answer though about how the history of rap music / hip hop culture kind of comes and brings it full circle, and why Mom and Them music is so important. In 2015, an article was written that called "The Emotions: A Legacy of Hip Hop." Group. Because of how many of our songs, Questlove
brought it to me. And he had me on his show before he was at the Tonight Show that he's on.
Yeah.
And he named all these songs, even songs I had forgot I had written.
Yes.
That other rap artists had put in their thing, and he gave me a list of them.
Yes.
And I couldn't believe it.
Yes. They're one of the most sampled 70s groups of all time in hip hop.
That's what I was just about to say. People sample you all the time, and for good reason. If it's good, people are going to want a piece of it. Keep and covering your music too. It's quite a wonderful legacy, and so much. The work that you did helped to lay a lot of groundwork for people like myself, trying to still come up behind the legacy and the patterns that you have left behind. Those of you on my computer screen right now, I wish you were in my room. I just want to scoop you up and hug you so bad, so much. Now, I can't let us go without learning about some folks that we all know. Tell me how well you remember one Michael Jackson.
Michael.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the first memorable thing because we did so many shows together because his father Joe and my father Joe also became friends. And then Joe turned him on to this lawyer who got us into the deal out here with Maurice and them. Yeah. But we did things in Gary, Indiana, and around Chicago in the clubs there. But when we would go on stage, and then we were wearing those 3-inch heels. Mm-hmm. And the first thing, he loved he would just sit there and watch us. Then when we come off, the first thing he had to be, "Why are you singing those heels? How do you do? Are you singing? Do your feet hurt?" I said, "No, my feet don't hurt." I was like, and that was the first thing he said to me, but it was so innocent. So, wow, he said that. He said, "You can really sing. I really like the way you sing." But a memorable thing from that first one is we hadn't gotten into the Grammy Awards or anything yet. And we were still singing around town in different places with the Jacksons. And they would come, he says, "Well, Wanda, my dad, we're going to do some songs together. We're going to do," she says, "but will you guys come in and come down?" And I said, "Well, yeah, if we're doing, yeah, I wouldn't mind. We could go." And then he was like, "I don't go out much." There was something I just asked because his brother, it was the prom coming up. Right. And what's his brother? No,
Marlon.
The same age as me. Jackie, because it was 5 of them, he just missed the show so he can go to his prom. I couldn't miss because it was just 3 of us. And we couldn't make that work. And so he teased me about that. And I was like, right, that's just like what a little brother would do. It was just, but anyway, there was no, the famous Jackson, Michael that he became. Right. This was the one that I knew, that I always endeared, and loved. And then his brother, Marlon, when he got something, it was something he took from him and he gave it to me. Michael gave it to me. It was a bubblegum ring. Remember those bubblegum rings you get out of the ring? Yeah, and he gave me this ring and I was like, well, and I don't know. I'm probably because my voice was the loudest. I don't know. But he just loved my voice. They came to see us at Disneyland. Okay. We were doing, what was Magic Mountain. Maybe it was Magic Mountain. Right. That's where they had the shows, right? That's where they did shows. They did shows there. Yeah, right. Yes, and he came back there, and all of them wanted to go and see. He says, but he wanted to stand right on stage. He always did that to see how people. But see, that's how he got all that stuff from what's my boy
James Brown.
James Brown.
Yeah. He was studying
because he was studying.
He was studying.
Yeah. He studied stuff, and then when I would come up, he would say whatever run I said, he'll be singing it, and he'll make the run. I was like, this kid. He was just there already. I love it. I didn't. All the other parts of whatever they went through turmoil, I didn't see any of that. Yeah. So only when they wanted to play ball and everybody wanted to come to a sound check and they wouldn't come. Yeah. And we was on the thing with Junior Walker and All Stars, and Junior Walker had this bus, and he had about 14 kids, and they would all come. They were all be at the tour, and they were on there. And then there was some other things that they would be watching, that other people didn't watch. Right. Porn, but they didn't want to.
Porn wasn't out yet.
I'm telling you. Okay. And he said, we can't go back there. We can't go in there on the bus, while they're doing. But Cullingham Father was on that tour, just to show you. Cullingham Father, what's the girl, Linda, from the 3 girls that sang from out of Philadelphia. Okay, they were on it, huh?
No, women. Linda.
Cullingham Father, Junior Walker and All Stars, us. But anyway, they told the story of how how Diana Ross got them the deal at Motown. I love that. And then Michael told us the truth. That's all I'll say about that. So I'm just saying, he was so innocent, is truthful, right. Just a kid, innocent. That's all I can say. But that's the best. There's a lot of other memories with them, but those were the most endearing.
Well, I'll tell you what, the next time she asks, go ahead and give Janet my number. That's just fine with me.
His
because she's tripping when she just doesn't take it from the first time. Next time.
Get her by her arm and say, girl, what you doing, girl? Just a little text message, that's all I need. Just a little text message. Well, Wayne, you've been sitting here playing the piano, one of my heroes right here. Tell me something about working with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
It was just a beautiful, it was a beautiful experience. I just come off from the Brothers Johnson brothers. Then I was working with the Emotions sisters. And then I get with Earth, Wind, and Fire, more brothers, because not only the three brothers on stage, but Monte and not only the brothers, but the sister.
Right. Brittany's sister.
Yeah, she did all the
Jerry.
Yeah.
And then we knew also Pat and the rest of the White Clan and the Adams Clan.
Pat brought me Wendi in my arms at Cedar Sinai. And I was like, I know you. He said, yeah, my brother is Maurice White. And she's the nurse that brought Wendi to me after I had her.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
All of our families were close, and Maurice and I, we became closer. I met Maurice through Wanda. They had come to our show. We did it at the Greek Theater, and they came in, and the brother Freddie, he came back and he said, man, you were playing all those keyboards. We were really checking you out that night at the Greek. Right. I said, what? It was my regular thing. It wasn't no thing to me. And then with Wanda, we had threatened to write a song. The first song we did was Patty. Second song was for Aretha. Oh. And they both went on. So our first two songs went on big artists. And we did one with Chuck Jackson. Then we started writing for the Emotions. And then we went to Maurice, and we were in Hollywood Sound one day. Okay. And we were already producing. We had all the baddest cats in the studio one day, and Maurice comes over. Hey, Wayne, you got any tunes for the Fire? And I said,
He didn't know.
I got a few tunes. So I gave him 4 tunes. We recorded 3. And to this day, I wish I knew what that 4th song was. I forgot the 4th song. I don't know, but I know it was in the same style of those 3 songs. Right. One being, which I didn't know until 2005, Let's Groove was Earth, Wind, and Fire's biggest selling record of all time. Yeah. And I don't read the press clippings, so I had no idea.
A few months ago, I had someone on my jazz show, and I said, I'm trying to work with the Emotions, and this guy that works with them, and he's brilliant. I love everything he's ever said to me. And he said, you're not talking about Wayne Vaughn, are you? And I said, do you know Wayne? He said, no, but who doesn't know who he is? All that music he wrote. So your legacy is living on too, sir. I'm sitting right on this stage.
I tell you what.
Yes, sir.
I'll learn about it after I'm gone, because I know nothing. I don't stop to look back. I'm always looking forward. So it's a pleasure. And it's sometime when I find out little tidbits and cats tell me stuff like that, and I get a little chuckle out of it. But trust, I'm on to the next thing, man. I never look back.
I love that. Always looking for the next bright thing that's coming. That's a creative. That's a brilliant creative right there.
I got to keep it moving, and these kids know, because right now we're all as a family working on this stuff. Like one thing, during the pandemic and all before the pandemic, all I've been doing is writing. Mm-hmm. The key is I was just playing a song that I wrote like 8 or 9 years ago. Okay. And Wanda was upstairs, and then I came back. I was just messing with it and changing it and moving it around. And then I came upstairs, and Wanda said, what song was that you were playing? I said, that's an old song, girl. That's something like. She said, I remember, but it sounds so familiar, but I never heard it, but it sounds familiar. And that's the whole thing about music. Yeah. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. we trying to make something that's original but sounds like something you already heard in order to be accessible to the layman who I don't write no music for musicians. Okay, musicians, that's the last opinion I'm gonna listen to. But I'll listen to cats that just have the natural heartbeat, that they have their ears to the railroad track, so they can say, hey man, the freight train about 2 hours away, I hear it.
Right.
So you just want to know the freight train is coming either, so you can jump on it or get out the way.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is trying to facilitate that in our musical sense to... Uh-oh. That's a whole nother story.
That is a good story.
You know,
We
I
wrote
like
so
to
many
say,
different songs.
I like to say it's about advancing the art form, Wayne. That's what, if at the end of the day I haven't done anything to take this another step forward, I don't know what I've been doing this whole time. You know, that's what I think about. I've got to let y'all go soon because I just do the show. We've been talking, but you better believe we're going to be talking again, whether there's a camera or not. But Wendi, Wyann, you're making music yourselves. Your siblings are making music yourselves. Tell me about the art that's coming out of this next generation, and where do we see this going in the future?
Woo! Oh, that's such a beautiful question. Oh, well, you know, Wyann and I and our other two siblings, Whitney and Warren. That's a tongue twister. I know, Wendi and Wyann, Whitney Warren. We together, when we do perform together, we have like an ensemble called the Fam, and we have music that we've released independently that each of us have contributed to. I know that we're more doing individual type stuff as well, because as Wyann has called it, we're edutainers. Each of us have this melding of education, wellness, and music.
Yes.
For at least for the offspring. And that still came from mom and dad, you know, because
100%.
outside of them being these amazing artists, they have always inducted us at a very young age into wellness and how all that comes together. You know, everything is everything. So musically, I know Wyann just put out, she's in the process of putting out a project that she had the whole family be a part of.
Yes.
And each of us in our own endeavors, we're working on our own stuff. Warren is an amazing writer and rapper. And I write and sing. I love doing, I always hear like thematic, like Disney pop kind of songs, you know, that's kind of where I live. And Whitney, she has a lot of that kind of Rihanna, like, you know, real edgy pop. And so, you know, when we come together, we do our thing with the family.
Yeah.
You know, that's I'm interested mostly in placements with commercials and things like that, putting our music in those kind of spaces.
Yes. And I'll round out what she's saying by plugging what is my debut album, but really I looked to create a family heirloom. So my album is called Been in It a Minute. Been in it a minute, and it's BIIAM. You'll see these hashtags going up places and things. I'm about to reveal the artwork and things like that, but I'm gonna give y'all the skinny. I'm gonna give you the scoop.
Come on, skinny. Give me that scoop. Scoop it up.
But so on this album, I have strategically made sure that each of my immediate family members has been a part of it. There are features from the Emotions. There is a feature from Wayne Vaughn. There is a feature from Wendi Vaughn, Whitney Vaughn, Warren Vaughn, as well as production from some of my favorite producers, AKA these people, as well as DJ Quick, as well as Terrace Martin and Ninth Wonder, because I'm the hip hop chick, right? Yeah. So I take all of the jazz, the gospel, soul, and I round it out with what my older brother, the first Vaughn child, who is in heaven, he gifted me with the beauty of hip hop culture. And so when you combine all of those things, you get this album. It's what I'm calling already the beginning of a family heirloom. So, yeah, you're gonna be hearing that October 1st.
You can't see it, but you just made some hearts explode in this room. Listen to you talk. You got a couple of excited camera guys right here. Listen to you speak. And did you say October 1st?
October 1st, Friday.
October 1st. Y'all heard where you can find it and when you can find it. You better show them some love. as soon as October 1st hits. I know I will be. Family, I'm gonna get on an airplane one day again soon, and I'm gonna knock on your door. I hope you open it.
Let me tell you something, Robert. It will be at the right time when you do. As you know, Big Vic is living in LA for a moment because he's knocking out his teach, and that's another, all you guys, it's just a weird kind of way that we all hooked up because another guy brought Vic to me, and Muscle Dog, we called him, and Harvey Palmer, but I already knew his brother, and Vic came, and then I adopted Julie and the rest of the family, and then young Chris, and it's all history. Then the moms and pops, and then the rest of the whole crew. Yeah. I mean, it's just extended family, which is family.
Yes.
And Vic is in town, so we're going to do something with him because
I'm looking forward to doing something with Vic. Vic and I. Like we're Tanny Terrell and Marvin Gaye.
Well, Vic has the Marvin Gaye thing on another level.
Yeah.
And that's not a lie. That is no lie. I was bragging, not really bragging. I was just talking to my mom about voices in the family, and we always can't talk about the voices in this family without Vic.
On that. Can't talk about it without Vic.
We do have to I have to say, Wyann does have a feature of Uncle Vic.
Oh, yes. Actually, the first feature I ever asked for, out of everyone I know in this music industry, including Dr. Dre, DJ Premier, and everyone, the first feature I ever asked for was from my Uncle Vic. Period.
Come on,
I was scared to do it. I don't know why. But yes, absolutely.
Nah, I know he was happy to do it. I know he was. He was in town with me a few weeks ago. I got to hang out with Vic. Went out to eat, had a little libation. I enjoyed us as Cheryl too. All in. Well, family, I'm gonna tell you, I'm getting on that airplane when it's the right time. And I'm coming out there, and I just want to scoop you all up and have a good time.
Yes. Well, you know the door is open. You know where the dungeon is.
Yeah.
You said, I came down in the basement. No, you came into the dungeon.
This is the dungeon, baby.
Dungeon. I'm coming back in that dungeon.
And I hope I get to show you this museum.
Yeah. We're looking forward to that, and we can come and do a little nice gig with some musicians, and
I got 3 Steinway.
Yeah,
I got 3 Steinway for you to tickle.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes, please.
We need that.
Yes, indeed. Well, I have talked your ears off for over more than an hour now, and it's not going to be the last time.
We enjoyed this. Robert, a.k.a. Buddy.
Yeah.
Let's let everybody know that.
Yes.
But we have enjoyed this immensely. And it was a beautiful thing, as we was first getting together and set the camera. See, I'm glad I got these lights put up now. You see, because now the sun has gone down, because we had a different lighting situation when we first started.
Yes.
So I'm glad we got all that together, man, and I'm glad we were able just to have an uninterrupted conversation with you tonight, man. It was a beautiful thing.
I'm really grateful to you for the time, it's really an honor to have this conversation, to be able to capture it, to be on the same program as you all. Everybody's gonna see me talking to the emotions, excuse me. Excuse all of me. I'm so excited about this, and I can't wait. Well, I'm probably not supposed to say while we're recording, but I can't wait till I do share it. It's gonna be just a few days from now. I can't wait.
But look, we'll have to pull out an aria for you.
Come on, yeah. I mean, I do more than just opera. I can get down on some funk, some soul, some jazz, whatever you bring. Come on. No, don't think all I've got is Mendelssohn now. I got you more than that. Well, family, I have loved on you for an hour. I can't wait to love on you in person. That's the end of our chat here. And folks, those of you at home who have enjoyed this ride with us, thank you so much for being with us. And you know what I say at the end of every time these cameras are on me. Thank you for loving with us. Thank you for listening to us. And thank you for learning from us. Richmond, Virginia, Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, the World, Hutchinson Vaughn family. This has been our VMFA After 5 Fridays presented by Chase. This is our first Friday's edition. Thank you so much for this ride. Oh my goodness, my heart is so full of love. I hate to say goodbye, but thank you, family. Thank you all at home. I'm Robert Phanord. Thank you. Good night.